All right, guys, I want to welcome everyone to episode 50 of the Kayak Fishing Raw podcast. This is big, Fred.
Yeah.
Episode 50, man. I mean, we've been doing this for a while, and shout out to Jay. I started with Jay when we about a year ago, and now we got Freddie on board, and it's been awesome. I mean, we got this awesome studio. We've been moving for back and forth for couple hours already today.
I know. So this is like our first time in this spot, and we're gonna do it from now on.
Right.
It's a lot bigger. It's a little cooler in here.
Right.
You don't have to like turn all the air conditioners off and all that stuff. So it's a little bit better.
Yeah. And we got our awesome guest today coming in studio, Captain John from Sundance Marine, one of our official help boat sponsor, and he actually rescued someone during the tournament. John, good to see you, bud.
It's a pleasure being here, guys.
All right. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So,
what you guys don't know is that we made him wait like an hour because we haven't. This is our first time in the spot, so like,
right.
I left a bunch of stuff at my other place.
It beats waiting around the office. So
that's a good point, though.
That's very true.
A day hanging out with us is better than a day hanging out with boat sellers.
Hey, well, we got a lot to talk about today.
I can't wait for this episode.
So I have a surprise for people towards the end of the episode. And I haven't really told Fred or John who's going to call in, but I've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And I am super excited. John, you excited?
Oh, yeah. I've got some questions.
All right, cool. I think we all have a lot of questions for that guest calling in. But before that, let's talk to John and talk about first. I mean, it was your first tournament doing the SummerSlam. What was the experience like?
So I've seen the tournaments before. This was the first one that I've actually been a part of as far as, extreme kayak fishing and anything like that. It was a lot more of an experience than, someone would think they are.
Yeah.
It's a full-on tournament. It's not just a few guys getting together and kind of shooting the shit and bullshitting. Right. It's a full-on tournament. There's people catching fish. It's legit.
What I tell people, it's funny because in the beginning, especially when we started getting sponsors and, when we were, trying to build this event, it was hard for me to explain to people, like, this is a legitimate fishing tournament. This isn't, don't think of this as a kayak tournament. It's seriously like a big time fishing tournament. So like when the sponsors do come to the beach and they see what we put on and the big crowd and the big checks and the hot women and the big stage and the big fish, I mean, they're floored. I've had 3 sponsors at the last event, and it was their first times coming. And Bonafide Kayaks, they came there, and they said the same thing. He's like, I am just shocked. I did not expect, what I've seen today. It's awesome.
Yeah, and, and those guys have been to pretty much some of the bigger kayak, like the kayak bass fishing.
Exactly.
Is a bigger. I don't think the event itself, there's more competitors, there's more money on the line, but the event isn't as big of a deal, I don't think.
Right.
I haven't been to it. I've seen the photos. I mean, the awards, when they're issuing the awards, it's like a couple of dudes sitting in front of a room full of guys.
Right.
Not, there's nothing that compares. And when we've seen, like, John, you've been to hundreds of boat tournaments. Like, there's no way to tell. Like, once the kayak land on the beach,
it
you don't
turns
know the
into
difference.
a show.
It turns into a show.
Yeah, it's everything you would expect out of a tournament. Period. It is not a kayak tournament at that point. It is a fishing tournament.
Cool.
Yeah.
And now, being the help boat sponsor, being on the water, maybe you can explain to these guys, what's it like for a captain like you, being on the water and getting these calls. You actually had to rescue somebody.
Yeah. So
what was that like?
It was interesting. So, it was extremely cool being able to see everyone fishing their own style of fishing.
Right.
Just because, they're in their own little kayak and, they've got just as good a setup as any sport fish out there.
Yeah.
And, they're catching 40, 50-pound kingfish, wahoo, anything that you can catch anywhere else. They're sitting there catching it on a 12-foot kayak.
Right.
I mean, come on.
You'll pass a guy who's, like me, I take 3 rods, and it's pretty plain. I paddle. Then you'll pass a guy with,
6 rods.
12-foot outriggers,
and
like, he's trolling baits.
Yep.
It's crazy. And then you have a guy with, a downrigger, and then you have a guy flying a kite. Like, it's
There's
I mean, there's so many
all types of fishing.
Each boat, maybe it could be 100 boats. Each kayak has their own method of fishing.
Well, that's what's cool too. Like in the morning when we do the morning shoot off, and I don't know if you saw that, if you were out there for that, or were you?
Yeah.
Okay, you were, and you could see literally like a line of over 100 kayaks. And what's really cool is like when you're there and you're walking amongst them, each kayak is different. They all like accessorize in a different way. So it's just really cool to see like how every single kayak is actually like a piece of that angler's personality per se.
Yeah, it's not like NASCAR
100%.
where like every car is the same. They just try to figure out how to
Right.
finagle the rules a little bit, or it's like whatever you can do on a kayak. Like as long as you don't have a motor,
You're good.
you can have whatever you want.
That kayak is an extension of them.
Exactly.
It's
really
Exactly.
cool.
That's all it is.
So when you're out there, you got the call. Like, what happened? What went down?
So we pretty much got a call that a kayaker was taking on water. By the time we got there, it was a little more than taking on water. About half the kayak was underwater.
Jeez.
So myself, as well as Captain Keith Anderson, with the other chase boat.
Shout out to them, by the way.
Yeah, for
all
sure.
you
Great
guys
guys.
were phenomenal as a team out there.
Great guys. But, just help the guy out the best we could, get him on the boat, get him to safety, try
Right.
to save as much of his gear as we could. End up tying up his kayak to the other chase boat. It was a little bit bigger, and just dragged him in. He was extremely lucky he wasn't actually part of the tournament.
Exactly.
And just-
That kind of was
that was
crazy.
just blind luck that we happened to be in the area. But it just goes to show that it's
it
an
is
extremely
luck, actually. I never even
dangerous.
thought about like how
Yeah.
lucky the dude happened to be.
He was
sinking on a tournament day.
Yeah, and he just one of the other guys in the tournament called it in for him, and that just goes to show the camaraderie between
Right.
all the guys that are out there. They're there to help each other, but
Yeah.
at the same time, safety is a huge issue, and that guy didn't end up having a CB radio or VHF, nothing. So,
And you
yeah.
see, that's the
That
problem
is
is,
lucky.
Oh,
I didn't
actually,
even think about that. I knew the guy wasn't part of the tournament, but like, what if he was sinking on a non-tournament day?
right. Well,
He's out there on a Tuesday afternoon, like he's
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna sink.
what's great
It'd be rough.
about having John here now is we had a conversation the podcast before, and it's great now to have him here to enter this discussion and talk about the safety and what he needs to help these people
Oh, for sure.
that are out there. And like, what's it like for you when you were out there? Did you have a hard time? Now this was a flat day.
Right.
Did you have a hard time seeing these guys? How was that?
So I believe a couple of years ago, you guys probably had the tournament in the same area when I was running charter fishing trips.
Okay.
Now, it was much rougher conditions. It was probably 4 to 5.
Yeah.
When it's that rough, it's extremely difficult, even for bigger center consoles, unless you're up on a fly bridge or something.
Right.
It's very difficult to see kayakers just because, you're maybe 3 feet over the water. When a 4-foot wave comes, you're completely gone to another boat.
Yeah.
So, just making sure that you have some sort of a flag, something on those rougher days so that bigger vessels can see you is exponentially important.
Yeah.
Making sure that you have a VHF on the boat in case something happens. It helps us as a chase boat exponentially make sure that you check that those items are working in the morning.
Right.
Because we did have a few instances where people were breaking up later in the day. We couldn't really understand what they were saying.
Right.
And it just makes it a lot easier to come and find you just in case anything did happen, as well as, you want us to come take pictures of those fish that you're catching.
Exactly.
The only way we're going to be able to do that is we can find out where you are.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of guys, what happened is they never fished a tournament before, so they don't even have a VHF radio.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll go find the cheapest waterproof one.
Two-way.
Yeah, I mean, some guys bought walkie-talkies and didn't realize they're walkie-talkies. They thought they were getting 2 VHF radios for $50 or whatever. So they didn't work. They could talk to each other, but not to the rest of the field. But guys, don't go out and buy the cheapest radio because it's going to get wet for
It's
sure.
your lifeline out there.
It's going to get wet. Like, it doesn't matter what you try to do to keep it dry, unless you buy one of those radio-specific sort of like pouches, which I had for a long time. But it's going to get wet, and when it gets wet, it's done. It doesn't matter if you've been out there 5 minutes or 5 hours. Like, at some point, you're going to need it. Don't skimp on your radio. So if it's your first tournament this SummerSlam too, if you're not spending $60-$70 on a radio, you're probably not getting one that's going to work.
Yeah.
Don't skip out on something that is going to potentially save your life.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And not only that, those the radios that I love and that I recommend to a lot of the out-of-towners that come here is the West Marine radio. Those mine was like I left it on and it didn't even go dead for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're
It was
relatively
insane.
inexpensive and they're
Right, like
phenomenal.
$100.
Yeah, and buy the warranty, because if water does get into it, you can just take it right back and they'll just give you a new one.
Yeah,
they're not
It's
going to even ask
100%
you.
worth it.
So
They
it's
ask
for
no
sure worth the
questions.
extra warranty. Yeah, for sure.
And so back to that guy when you were out there. So it took 2 boats, didn't it?
Yeah,
I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, it would have definitely taken 2 boats regardless. He just had so much gear in the water, and the way that his kayak was set up, it was a little bit bigger of a kayak. He had an engine on it.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah, it was like a PA.
Oh, I didn't even know he had an
It
engine.
was a
on
PA
it.
with an engine.
Yeah, he had an engine on it. He got himself into quite a pickle. If there wouldn't have been another kayaker out there to at least call us over, he was out at least a mile.
Jeez, this guy got lucky.
Yeah.
He would have just been swimming. Like, there's
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Like, he would
Yeah.
have just been swimming.
Now, was he talking? Like,
No,
what
he was completely in shock.
Okay.
So we got him on the boat. He really didn't say much. I put him on Keith's boat, got him a blanket and everything. He was. You could tell he was visibly shaken, and
Right.
I'm sure he got a little calmer and was able to explain things a bit better once he got on the land.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was visibly shaken. We did the best we could to kind of salvage what gear we could. And
Yeah.
just make sure.
Did
that
he lose
He was okay.
a lot of stuff, or?
He didn't lose anything super important. Maybe a few lures, stuff like that. Everything, things that can be replaced.
Hey, it's your life, man. That's the most important. And for all these guys out there that want to do their own offshore kayak tournament, and I know there's a lot of them now. They're pretty much everywhere. So this is what's really important. My advice to you is get a sponsor like Sundance Marine, even though they're with us, and get some kind of help boat, because it is essential when doing these type of tournaments. I mean, it is so important. We rescue people in probably every single tournament we've
For
put on.
sure, everyone.
Every single one. So when you got that many guys on the water and that many guys fishing, and, as most of you know, that fish our event, we go if it's 2 to 4. We go if it's 3 to 5 sometimes. So, having those boats is so important, so essential. And, if you're going to put on an event and you don't have that and you want to go cheap and not do the permits and not do the liability and not do all that stuff, if somebody gets hurt, guess what? Extreme's the one that's going to be on the front page of the paper, because we have the name. We've been here forever, and it's going to ruin the sport for everybody. So do it right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you being out there, how important was it to have multiple boats?
It was exponentially important, just for the simple fact of we had so many kayakers in the water from Pompano to we had guys
Right.
almost up to Deerfield Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to Boca.
Yeah,
for
and-
sure. I've gotten out of radio
Yeah,
call.
and
Like, I had to use my phone.
Oh my God.
and throughout the day we were talking with some of the photographers and stuff, and there have been guys that go up to Boca. So having 2 boats out there, one boat can cover the
for
south,
sure. You
one
need
can
at
cover
least
the
2,
north.
without a doubt. At
You
least.
need to be able to get to a kayaker if they're, if God forbid anything actually happens.
Right.
Because we look at it more as a safety aspect than hopefully you guys catch all the fish in the world.
Sure.
I'd love for it to happen, but I'd much rather everyone go home safe.
Right.
And for us, we'd rather get to you within 5 minutes instead of 20 minutes, just because you have a guy in Boca and we're in Pompano.
Right. Right.
And then how important is it, or did you find that it was tougher? Like, I most of the locals know kind of where they are, but like to have the kayakers like tell you where they are. Like, did they like fumble? A lot of them just have no clue how
a lot
deep
of the
they
outer
are.
town guys and a couple of the girls just had no idea where they were. Period.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'd try and say, "Oh, we're right off the Brown Building." Well, guys, there's 7 Brown buildings,
Yeah.
depending on where you're looking, or we're right off the pier. Well, there's 4 piers in our area.
Right.
Right.
So just talking to us and giving us as much information as possible. Look, we're gonna haul ass and we'll get there as quickly as we can, but
Sure.
we got to know where you are.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
a
that was
tough one.
huge thing.
People,
Yeah.
People will say, like, I found myself doing this in Texas because their coastline is different. It goes east to west, or it goes north to south. So, like, when I'm looking at the coast, or when we're in the Bahamas, in my brain, because I fish here 4 days a week, north is that way and south is that way.
Yeah,
And so,
you
like,
get
when you
mixed
see
up.
the coast of anywhere else, that's what your brain thinks. So you're like, oh, I'm north of XYZ building, but that might be west. If
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, if you're used to fishing Pensacola, the coastline is in a different direction. So
Yeah.
Right.
It's
how
just
many
taking a
times
few
have you heard
minutes.
people say we're west of the pier?
Yeah.
Like I've heard it a bunch of times.
Plus, there's multiple piers.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
could be
and
at
if you're west of the
Deerfield
pier, you're inland.
Yeah,
Like, you're not on the water.
We've had
so-
people in the Sailfish Smackdown that thought that Deerfield Pier was Pompano Pier.
Yep.
So we had guys scrambling looking for him to get to these guys with the sailfish to release them, and then finally we figured out, oh my God, they're at Deerfield.
Wrong
So,
pier. Yeah, so our best, luckily we have the lighthouse, so that's our best landmark.
Sure.
So if you can see the lighthouse, you should be able to sort of
Right.
kind of tell where you are.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you
But
want to
you
see
can
the
get really
lighthouse.
far away from the lighthouse, though.
They do.
I mean, you can't see it from Boca Inlet.
No, not at all. And I mean, in this tournament, we had a guy that, he caught one fish, got dragged out a couple miles, and then ended up landing another fish and dragged him out another handful of miles. So, I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he was 4 miles offshore and had no idea where he was. And then on top of his VHF was probably not the best one in the world.
Right.
It was,
You can only hear him every.
Yeah, we can
third
only hear every
click.
other word. Or
Yeah.
that's part of just making sure you don't cheap out on the important things.
Exactly.
We'll make sure that you have a full-on experience because it's great that he caught those fish.
Right.
But him trying to kayak, 4 miles in at the end of the day after fishing all day.
Oh, sure.
It's
It's
a
taxing.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And what advice would you give these guys, especially from out of town that are coming here? I mean, would you tell them, fish, like I always tell these guys, fish between the lighthouse and the pier. You got a little box. Like, what
Yeah,
would
so,
you
I mean,
say being out there?
I would recommend you stay within view of the lighthouse
Okay.
as a minimum. But do some research before you come here. Don't
Right.
just show up and think, you're going to run the beach or something like that.
Right.
Do a little bit of research, find some landmarks, look up what fish are biting where, come up with a game plan. If you can come up with a game plan, say, hey, Chase Boat, just as a heads up, I'm going to be here and here. I get it. Well, there's 100 kayakers, but at least if you are going to be one of the few people that tell me where you're going to be,
Yeah.
I can remember that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And, what you guys did out there was awesome. I mean, we really appreciated that. And you guys,
It was fun.
You guys were like a well-oiled machine out there. I mean, it was. Usually I get phone calls on the beach and I start stressing out, from some of the boats.
Mm-hmm.
And this was probably the most calm I think I've ever had it.
You always want it to be where like the only gripe from the guys on the water about the help boats is like, where's the burritos?
Right.
Like that. If that's the worst of your problems,
Then you're good to
You
go.
got a good problem.
Like, dude, where's the sandwiches?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's all you want. If they're not around, you want it to be because they're giving other people sandwiches. Right.
Right,
Like,
right.
That's the biggest problem. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys often go out like as a company, or do you do like demo boats out?
So what we'll do is typically, sorry, but I'll try and do events throughout the year, like sandbar events.
Bless you.
Thanks. I'll bring boats out and
If I had any water, like
No
a proper
worries.
host.
Earlier, I'm like, hey, Fred, you got some water? From the sink.
sink only. But yeah, we'll try and do events. And I'll bring, like this Sunday, I'll be at Boca Lake from about 10 to 5. I'll have a couple of the Sundance boats there, and we'll just have a big kind of
Presence.
a party. We'll just make a presence.
Yeah.
We'll have some of our new brands there. We'll have a few Everglades there. Just kind of be there, giving away some gear and stuff, and have a good time.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, like I was gonna say, because I've been telling Joe this for probably a year. Like I want to make a video showing people sort of like the landmarks out there.
Yeah.
Right, because like if you come from Texas, you don't know, and I think it would be helpful for people to be able to see. But I don't want to do it on my kayak because I have like really good camera equipment. I don't want to take it out there, but we need to get on a boat, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
out
no,
there.
I
and,
agree.
Yeah,
grab.
we can make that
go
happen.
from Boca Inlet to let's say Commercial Pier or something, because I feel like that is the very extreme.
Yeah, I can't.
Because
see
I can
you
get
guys
back from
going too
Boca
much.
Inlet like easily,
Right.
but most people can't. But if you're between, like you said, the lighthouse and the Commercial Pier,
Yeah.
you're probably okay because the current's going to push you back. Normally, the current's going to push you back from the Commercial Pier.
Right.
But there's these little buildings in between that will help these guys on the help boat know.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Like there's always going to be the parking garage. It's very distinct.
Right.
So you know where the pier is, even if you can't really see the pier because the parking garage looks like it looks. It looks
Right.
like that weird building in Australia, whatever that building is.
What's it
the
look
one?
like?
Yeah, I know.
Looks like shark fins or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
an amphitheater.
Yeah. It's got those weird
I
architecture.
think it is like supposed to be like a pompano fish.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's exactly what it's
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
be.
it's supposed to be a
Like an
pompano.
African pompano.
Right, exactly.
Weird.
So, like, your experience personally, like, how long have you fished? Like, what have you done?
So I mean, I grew up. I'm from Florida. Grew up fishing from the time I could handle a fishing pole.
Okay.
My dad's been taking us diving and stuff since before I could swim.
Joe's been handling a pole a pretty long time too.
No.
Only yours though.
No. Go on.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up
Any
fishing.
mermaids?
We're about to find out whether that's legit or not.
Yeah, where's your guy, bro?
Oh, he's calling.
Is he out on? Is he out
We've
on
got
the
some
water?
questions.
Oh, yeah. So go on.
But yeah, just
sea.
pretty much grew up like a true Floridian, hitting the Keys, hitting the West Coast. Went to college at UCF, came back, ran a boat club.
Cool.
Ran a charter fishing company, and now I'm selling boats.
Awesome,
Can't
man.
be happier.
So how did you get into Sundance Marine?
I actually had a buddy that when I was running the boat club,
Okay.
he was their delivery captain, and he was getting moved into sales, and he was like, dude, you got to come. It's, a mom and pop shop. It's so much fun. Everybody's laid back. Everything's awesome. I didn't want to take the pay cut.
Right.
But I eventually did, and he suckered me in, and I think I did that for about 7 months before they asked me to come into sales.
Okay, cool.
But it's been a blast.
Awesome.
Very fortunate.
Now, if somebody's interested in going to your store, like how does this work? I mean,
So our main shop is out of here in Pompano, right off 441 in Atlantic.
okay.
Best way to do it is come in. We've got 5 stores. We've got about 82 other sister stores across the country.
Yeah.
Come in, sit down. We'll figure out what the right boat is for you. Most important thing is getting the right boat for you. The wrong boat for you for the right price is still the wrong boat. I come from the service side. I'm more than happy to give you as good a deal as they'll physically let me.
Cool.
But it's more about getting you the right boat the first time so you don't end up with a headache.
All right. And tell me about your boats now.
So we carry Everglades, which is probably about as high end of a center console as you can get. But we also do Tidewater, Sea Fox, Stingray, Ranger, Regal, Cobalt. We carry a wide variety of boats that will really fit just about anything anybody wants.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have something crazy out there, like I said, we've got 55 plus other stores that I can kind of steal their inventory.
Cool.
when
And you
they
guys do customized stuff too, don't you?
Yeah, so I mean, if you had a specific, if you wanted an Everglades 243, but you wanted it tricked out your own personal way, we can make orders.
Cool.
We'll figure something out. Like I said, most important thing is figuring out the boat you want. I can figure something out from there.
Awesome.
A big pilchard tank for him.
Yeah, because he doesn't use gogs, apparently.
Hey, all my monster fish, just about, have been on pilchard.
But is that because you only fish pilchard?
Yes.
Probably.
100%.
Yeah. Actually, I have fished gogs. My issue with gogs are 2 things. One, for whatever reason, they don't like me. So whenever I use them, they always end up going back underneath my kayak, and they just drive me insane. And then with pilchard, I just let them out. They're out there. Boom, I catch a fish. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just easy. I don't know. And then, like...
Number 2?
And then number 2, I just, they always just drive me crazy. They spike me.
Yes, there it is.
That's what he was waiting for. That's the answer he was waiting for.
They fuck me up.
Gogs poke him in the fingers.
Right. But, they are hardy and, I mean, I know they're good bait. Obviously, in the tournaments, we've killed it with them, but I've always been a pilchard guy. It's just kind of my thing, so. And how about your fishing story?
Fishing story, I mean, I live bait, troll. I will literally do just about anything. Fishing off the beach, shark fishing.
When are we going to get you in a kayak?
You never know. It might be in the next tournament.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I mean, here's the thing. What I think is awesome about these events as well is that, I think you could see this too, we actually have a lot of guys that fish on boats that switched over and
100%.
not switched over, but that also fish in these kayaks just
a
to
different
fish these
experience.
events.
Yeah, it's just a different experience.
So it's cool to see the crossover, and it's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah.
You got guys like Benny. He does charters all the time on his boats, and he comes out just for the event and fishes it and does.
He kills it.
Yeah, he does really well.
Guys who know how to fish, like, I think a lot of them find it more enjoyable fishing on a kayak by yourself.
100%.
Sure.
Because like if I'm on the boat with you, like if I'm on your boat with you, like you're gonna be so mad at me for being a dummy. Like you never get mad at anyone else for screwing something up. You know what I mean? It's like always.
It's on you.
It's
Whether
on
you
you.
caught fish or
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
It's all on you. Yeah. Talking to some of these guys that have fished the tournament that are boat guys, that's what they said. They said, if you win a big tournament like Jamie's,
Right.
And you're on stage, you're with your whole team, so it's kind of like everything's kind of split with everyone. But if you win an extreme tournament, it's you. You're on stage and you're alone. You're the champion. So I mean, a lot of guys just love that. So I think
it's
cool.
completely different feel. It's all on you. Whether you win or lose, you're the one that prepped your baits. You're the one that did your rods up. You are
Right.
The bus stops with you.
Now, with the Sailfish Smackdown, and that's not till next year, obviously, but I did want to talk about that. Now, that is obviously a way more challenging event to be a help boat. Now, you haven't been a part of that yet. Hopefully next year we'll have you guys for that. But like we talked about with the Summer Slam, we don't hold anyone's fish anymore. So that is really just photos rescue. With the Sailfish Smackdown, I mean, how would you say it is to be?
Well,
because you've been on that boat.
Yeah, it's different because for two reasons. It's also in the winter, so it's going to be a little rougher.
Definitely.
Always.
And then you have to get there to establish the catch, right? Like you have to verify the catch.